I'm Bethany Anderson, and you're listening to The Hope Adventure. Welcome to Episode 8, When Beauty Burns. Following God into unknown places can be scary, daunting, even terrifying at times. Have you ever wondered how to navigate the change of seasons or chase after a dream with a lens of hope and adventure rather than fear and analysis paralysis? Listen in and we'll see what we can learn together about the adventure that is following God. After all, the greatest adventure is His presence. For today's episode, I had every intent of telling a funny story. Here's why. I had a good friend reach out to me last week. She'd had a really rough night, and last Tuesday morning, she opened up my podcast and thought, oh, I'll listen to this and it will give me a laugh. It usually does. And she listened to my story, and after that, she texted me saying, I really needed a laugh this morning, but instead I listened to your story on your podcast and I cried. So I promised her this week that just for her, I would tell a funny story. But here's my caveat. I also wait until I really feel like God enlightens me on what I'm supposed to talk about on each episode. I don't usually wait until a Monday afternoon, but that was the case today. I had some really good time in God's presence this morning, and I was just trying to clear my head, so I went out to grab a bite of lunch and to drive around a bit. When I did, my phone started blowing up. People were texting me from all over the place saying, Bethany, have you seen what's happening in Paris? And I looked, and I saw the fire of Notre Dame. And I literally just started crying. I know it's just a building, but the reality is it's so much more than that. I had people texting me because they were saying, Bethany, when I think of Paris, I think of you. And the reason is because I used to live in Paris. And when I didn't live in Paris, I lived in Switzerland, and I would spend every possible moment in that city. It was only a 3.5-hour train ride from Geneva, where I lived for about 5 years. And I would get on a train as much as possible just to spend the weekend in my very favorite city. So anytime there's any world news about Paris, my heart is stirred because I honestly love that city more than any other city in the world. And today especially, I just was really struck. I was struck by the fact that the world paused, and it's like everything was put on hold. Everything still is on hold. As I'm recording this, the news coverage is ongoing. The building is still burning. The cathedral is still going down in flames. And I was really stirred by that. I was stirred emotionally. Like I said, I was crying a lot, and it really caught me off guard to some extent. And I started thinking about, why is this so heavy? Hopefully no one has perished in that fire. I don't know. I guess the news reports haven't been conclusive in that yet. I haven't heard that they've found what started the fire. But here's what I know. When beauty burns, something within us changes. I don't know about you, but when I see an animal that's dead, it really affects me. I remember when I was in Australia, I used to walk down this path to school and church on a regular basis, and it was just a sidewalk in a neighborhood, nothing special about it. But I remember one spring there was these beautiful butterflies that I had never seen in my life. It's not the kind of species that we have in Texas anyway. And they had these really clear wings with like beautiful specks of rainbow colors and big polka dots. And they were shimmery and shiny. It almost looked like an art project with glue and glitter and shiny stuff. And I remember walking down the sidewalk and I saw this butterfly laying on the ground. And it was so beautiful, but there was no more life in it. And I literally stopped on the sidewalk, stepped onto the grass to get out of the way of passersby, and I just wept. I don't know what it was about beauty that made me pause. I don't know why when I go to the mountains or when I stare at the ocean, sometimes I'm just captivated. My breath seems to disappear. It catches in my throat and in my chest. And I just cry. For me, I think beauty is one of the things that we are created to live with and not created to live without. God Himself is beauty. He is the master creator. And I know for me, one of my favorite things is creating. And one of the times I feel most like God, which may sound kind of weird, I don't mean that in a weird, prideful way. I just mean it's one of the most connected times I have with God is when I'm creating. Because He is the creator. And when I'm creating, I feel like I'm following in His footsteps and I'm mimicking His pattern. And to me, this all ties back into beauty. And today, as I was driving around the countryside, just thinking about my love for Paris and thinking about all my personal memories at Notre Dame, I thought about the people. I thought about the beauty of the stories of centuries and centuries of people. I thought about the beauty of the craftsmanship of those who built that wonderful, ancient place. I thought about what offering people brought, what expression of their own heart and spirit that went into the work of that cathedral. And not only that, I started thinking about every moment of sacrifice and praise and heartbreak, every moment of joy and triumph and celebration that's happened within those walls. Every proposal, every first kiss, every breakup, everything that's happened on the outside of those walls, every moment of strangers meeting for the first time, every moment of reunions and meetings from a long time. I thought about all of those things and how rich those stories are, and that the reality is this burning of Notre Dame is not about a building. It's about the hearts of humanity. It's about people. It's just a symbol. It's a symbol of the beauty in our world. And when beauty burns, something in us feels lost. Something in us feels like we're dying, that there's loss and there's mourning. And though that's a hard place and we don't always want to face that, it's exactly what we have to do. I got home from my country drive just now and I went over to my shelf of really detailed and organized journals. I have about 30 journals on my shelf and they are all dated from like 1995 all the way to current. And I picked up my journal from 2003 when I was an au pair living in Switzerland. And I started flipping through, just randomly flipping through the pages of this journal. And no less than 5 times did I see the words Notre Dame scribbled in it. As I mentioned, I have so many memories there. And one of my favorite ones is when I met one of my American college friends in Paris. And where was the obvious place to meet? It was Notre Dame. It's in the middle of the city. It's easy to get to. You can see it from far away. And I remember I hadn't seen her in a long time, and we met there and we hugged wildly. And then we went on an adventure for the day. We went to a museum here. We went to the Louvre. We went and had my traditional crepe with Nutella and banana under the Eiffel Tower. And in a turn of events, we stumbled upon Lance Armstrong winning the Tour de France. We didn't even know it was happening, and it was on both of our bucket lists. How crazy is that? But again, I just want to hone in on one thing that I was reflecting on today. More than Notre Dame, more than this symbol of history and the stories of a nation burning today. All of this in this Holy Week made me think of Jesus. It made me think of Jesus because he is the most beautiful human this earth has ever known. Beautiful because he is a physical, tangible representation of the Father and the Father's heart. And I thought about being there on that Palm Sunday and ushering in the King of Kings, being a person who thought that that king was going to come and save everyone from this evil empire. I thought about the disappointment that they must have faced when he came to be beaten and to be put on a cross, because he was coming for a different kingdom. He was coming for a different purpose. And they couldn't see that. They didn't have eyes to see that. But those who did have eyes to see saw him on that cross, beaten and bruised and shattered, flesh torn apart, his body ripped to shreds, him struggling on that cross to lift himself and breathe. They saw him bleeding and sweating and in agony. And I wonder if they looked at him and thought, this beauty right in front of us is dying. He's going down. He's being defeated. Beauty feels personal. It's like we own it. We hold on to it. We possess it. And when there's an attack, an affront against it, I don't know about you, but I feel like I have to protect it. I see someone throw trash into the ocean and it really bothers me, or someone leaving trash on a beautiful mountain trail. Why? Because it's pure beauty that they're messing with and it feels untouchable. And I think that's how they must have felt about Jesus. He's the beautiful representation of God. He is otherworldly. He is the King of Kings. And you're messing with beauty. And so he went and he died on a cross. But we all know that's not where the story ends. The resurrection is coming. The purpose and the pain is around the corner. The beauty will rise again in a more beautiful way than could ever have been conceived by man, but was the plan of God. And so today, even though this episode is perhaps a little bit different and maybe a little heavier than I had planned, I just wanted a moment to share off script again with you just what's on my heart today. I couldn't get past Notre Dame burning. I couldn't get past the city of lights and the city of love being on the front page of every newspaper and every news station. I couldn't get past that today because my heart is breaking for that city. And again, it's not breaking because they won't rebuild. It's breaking because of the symbolism of what it stands for. The stories and the memories and the history and the beauty. But here's what I know to be true. I know for me in those moments when I felt like beauty was burning in my own life, there was always purpose in the pain. There was always redemption on the other side. But I think we do ourselves an injustice if we just move past the pain into the resurrection, per se, if we move past the pain into the light and the beauty again so quickly, we miss something. We miss the importance of sitting in that place and knowing who God is with us in that place. So today, my hope for you, as we go into this Easter weekend, as we pause to reflect on the journey of Jesus this week, from Calvary and the cross where he died to the moments of the empty tomb, I pray that you would stop and reflect on who he is to you, what he's done for you, that he is the one and only true beauty. I pray your hearts would be stirred by him this week. But I also pray that you would sit in that place, linger longer in that place of pain, because purpose is coming. Let me pray for you. Jesus, what a crazy day. What a crazy world we live in. God, my heart is broken for the city of Paris, for the people who are hurting, because they are watching a symbol of their history, of their freedom, of their triumph, of their deep years of faith, come burning to the ground in ashes. And yet I'm thankful for the perspective to know that you are with us in the fire. You are with us in the flames. John Wesley said, "Catch on fire with passion and people will come for miles to watch you burn." I think about that with Notre Dame. The whole world has its gaze locked on the city. And I pray that you, God, would make your presence known in people's hearts, that you would be so real and so present in their suffering and in their confusion, and in our suffering and in our confusion, in our places of pain where we feel like beauty is burning right before our eyes. God, I'm thankful that that is not where the story ends, that the sun is rising, metaphorically and literally, the Son, Jesus Christ, the S-U-N Son, that it's all rising and that tomorrow's a new day. But may we not miss you in this moment, in this pain. May we see you with us and know your goodness and know your touch and know your nearness. We love you so much. We give you all the glory. In your mighty name, Jesus. Amen. Thanks for listening to today's episode of The Hope Adventure. I know that it was a little bit heavy and a little bit different, and I'm sorry to my friend that I didn't throw in a funny story, but come back next week, and I promise I'll try to do a more lighthearted, funny story, something to maybe make you laugh or smile or even cry, but this time tears of laughter. Just 2 more quick thoughts. I really hope that you take time to create space to sit with God this week. And if that's a place of pain for you, sit there and see that He's right there with you in that pain. Don't rush towards Easter, but know that it's coming. Speaking of Easter, I pray that you have a blessed weekend wherever you're celebrating. And lastly, just a small side note. I have this amazing friend from Hillsong College. Her name is Fleurie, F-L-E-U-R-I-E, like the French flower. While I was driving around the country roads today, I was listening to her brand new album called Gloria Regali. It's by Tommy Prophet and Fleurie. It's kind of like cinematic music with a worship undertone. It was a majestic, powerful experience for me as I was driving around listening to that music and thinking about Notre Dame in Paris. So you should take a moment and check it out on iTunes or wherever you listen to music. Again, it's called Gloria Regali, and I'll put a link in the show notes. Okay, I hope you have a really great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you here on the Hope Adventure next week. Au revoir, bonne semaine. Today's music has been brought to you by the Blue Dot Sessions.